Monday Morning Business Boost brought to you by Monroe County Radio and Tino Amaya State Farm Insurance Agency. This is a program designed to boost business throughout the community and throughout the county. I'm your host, Tino Amaya, and on today's show, I have the owners of Floral City Images. They're a photography studio right downtown Monroe, and of course, their business has been severely impacted by the stay home, stay safe order. But, we're going to talk about how they got started, why they chose downtown Monroe, and then, of course, the nature of their business and, the changing of their business model now that hopefully we'll be coming out of COVID-19 soon. So sit back, relax, grab your cup of coffee, and enjoy this conversation with my good friends from Floral City Images. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking time out of your weekend to spend a little bit of time with us. So how about this? Why don't we go ahead and get started? And I'm going to ask you just to go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself. So go ahead, whoever wants to go first, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good morning, Tino. We are Floral City Images, and we are located in downtown Monroe. My husband and I, Dave, are the business. I have been in Monroe for a while, but Dave grew up here.
I'm a lifer. I've been here, born, raised in Monroe, and probably not going anywhere soon. So,
well, let's hope not, right? So now, how long have you guys actually been in the photography business? And we'll talk about what Floral City Images is, because I'm not sure if people know exactly what that is. But how long have you been in the business?
I've been doing photography now for 12 years.
Okay.
Started out doing a lot of photos for reenactors for the War of 1812. That's where I got my start. Went into doing some landscape stuff and migrated into weddings and portrait photography probably 8 years ago now, probably. And worked out of the house for quite a few years, and then I eventually got evicted. Well,
kind of outgrew the house.
Yeah. So now, but what made you decide to actually get into photography? I mean, was it just something you always had a passion for, or?
It was something that I wanted to do after retirement as a kind of a hobby, and it's more gone viral than anything else.
Now, where did you retire from?
I was in engineering management with telecommunications industry for 35 years.
Oh, wow. And Sue, now you still work full time, right?
I do. I work at the hospital here in Monroe.
Oh, nice. Okay, fantastic. So how has it been for you? I mean, working full time and then also helping build this business.
It's a challenge. It's like 2 full-time jobs. So, and even with the pandemic, still working full-time at the hospital and doing quite a bit with the photography yet.
Yeah.
Really working on processing for some of the weddings that we've finished up last year, and like this, we did 2 weddings this spring. So
we did our first pandemic wedding. I called it a drive-in wedding.
Yeah.
They had
a drive-through wedding.
Yeah.
Well, good. All right. So let me do this before we get into COVID talk. What made you choose your current location? I know you just joked around and said rent, but I mean, what made you decide downtown Monroe?
Well, we were over on First Street for the first 2 years. We were downtown, and then this building became available, so we moved over here. But to be active with the downtown business groups, exposure.
Well, it's
yeah, because you guys have done a great job. Let me just say, I mean, your storefront. I mean, when you walk by, all the images that are in the windows. I mean, your signage. I mean, you guys have done a phenomenal job just making that space look beautiful.
Thanks, Tim.
Well, we feel committed to downtown Monroe. Like, Dave's been here his whole life, and I've been here for a long time. So we just are committed to Monroe.
Nice. Very nice. Okay, and so now this particular business, you said you got into it, so about 12 years?
Yes.
Okay, so walk me through the early years and like what services, how have you grown? Like how has the business changed from day one till now?
Oh, wow. That's a tough question, Tino. Like I started out doing photos for reenactors for the War of 1812. For a long time, had photos on display at the Battlefield Visitors Center. All those photos in that front window were mine.
Wow. Now hold on. Let me ask, what made you decide to even do that? I mean, at what point were you like, you know what, this is cool. I want to do this.
Well, we were also reenactors.
Oh, okay.
A long time ago.
A long time ago. And I just felt that was a good way to practice. And a lot of the shots were challenging because I did stuff on the battlefield. It was a challenge, and it was something really different to do, and I thought I would take that into my retirement.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so you were doing the reenactment photos, and then now where did you make that decision to go, you know what, I want to maybe do this for weddings, birthday parties. I want to do this for other stuff.
Well,
sometimes friends talk you into doing things that like seem silly at the time. And then we worked with another photographer. She wanted to do some weddings, and we're like, okay, we'll work with you for that. And then she ended up getting out of the business, like doing a lot of the kids and family stuff better. So we kind of like took it from there and have worked with several different people off and on. But now it's really just Dave and I as your photography team for a wedding.
Nice. Okay. Well, that's awesome. And so as you guys were making the transition from kind of doing that and then, getting into the weddings, Dave, at what point were you like, all right, well, now I'm retired. This is an actual viable business. I'm moving out of the house. We're going to get a space. I mean, what was that transition like?
Terrifying.
It was good.
It was good, but we had a double storefront to start with over on First Street, and before I signed the lease, I kept asking Sue. I said, does this really feel right to you? I mean, the business kept growing. I think at that time we were only doing 15 weddings a year. We now do between 30 to 40 a year.
Wow.
And
a lot of it was meeting with clients at Panera.
Yes.
Okay, this is what we have to offer. And we were, dragging around a lot of stuff. And it was like, we really need to present a more professional front. Like,
right.
we need to commit to this.
Yeah.
And so we looked at a lot of different storefronts in downtown and finally settled on the one on First Street. I'm getting myself confused.
Now, why downtown though? Why didn't you guys? Because there were different spaces popping up on Telegraph Road. I mean, going back 12 years ago, you had like 2 or 3 different, strip malls that were either being renovated or that were popping up that were newer construction. What made you? I mean, what was the attraction to downtown?
Well, I felt downtown would be a little more exposure with traffic going through town.
Okay.
And jokingly, the rent was cheaper in town than outside.
I know that feeling oh so well, trust me.
And that was the scary part of the business is we now have this financial commitment.
Yeah.
So are we going to be able to make this business grow enough to be able to keep paying the rent? And up until this year, we've been able to do that.
Well, you know what? And that's, I think for all business owners, like that first step out, when you finally get to the point to where, like you jokingly said, you got thrown out of the house, For so many business owners, that start kind of, you incubate in your home and it's a home-based business. And then you start to kind of branch out a little bit more. That is the scariest part, man, is signing that 3 or 4 or 5 year lease, with extensions added to it. And then you've got, the utilities, and then, oh my word, here comes the tax man, because now I've got to pay taxes on what, you know what I mean? It's just it's a big commitment. And so, you retiring and then diving into this full steam ahead, man, what was that like, leaving a career and then starting a whole new career?
It went by so fast I couldn't really tell you.
We were busy.
We were busy.
Yeah.
Getting everything settled and into the studio
And just another thought of, you mentioned moving into a studio when I did. At that point in time, a lot of professional photographers were closing their studios and moving into their house because the business was on a spiral downturn.
Yeah.
And that's part of what made that really, really scary too. I mean,
yeah, well, I mean, if you go back 12 years ago, I mean, we were just coming into our first kind of, I call it a market readjustment. Some people call it a recession. I don't think it was a full-blown recession, but it really was a market readjustment. So to be opening a business at that time, man, that must have been scary as well.
It was.
Yeah.
I looked at it as I got my retirement to fall back on. So
if all else fails, I can just, yeah. And a lot. So I have two schools of thought there, though. I think during times of crisis like that, there are those people that take advantage of the opportunity and maybe find, a reasonable rent, because landlords, their mindsets change, right, during those times of crisis, because they want tenants, and they're looking to be as competitive as possible. And so there are people that jump in and say, you know what, I'm going to take advantage of this. And then there are those people that, like you just said, that are on the other side of the coin, that are going to say, man, it's time for me to pull out, because I just can't handle all of the the overhead and the expenses. And so they're moving back into their homes.
Yeah.
And so now that brings us to like what we're dealing with right now. And so before I get to COVID, talk to me a little bit about how your business has changed and some of the services you've added, because you guys have a lot of stuff you do that I don't think people realize. I mean, you're not just a photographer. Let's put that out there that way.
Right.
Part of moving into a studio gave me the ability to do business portraits. So that is part of the business. And that was also being downtown Monroe. I'm kind of captive to some of the businesses. I've done work, Monroe Bank and Trust, the city of Monroe, all the chamber or the council people, I do their portraits. Monroe County Community College. So we got those business portraits out there. Beyond photography, we also have the Mirror Me photo booth. I had, as you're familiar with, we've had it there at the restaurant a couple times.
Yeah.
I had the first one in the area for several years. In fact, it came from overseas when I first bought it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that business has been growing phenomenally, and I now own 2 of those mirrors.
Wow.
And then to better provide the client with a finished product, we now offer custom framing. I have a framer that works for me, has 45 years experience, and the majority of the woods that we offer for the frames are all Michigan hardwoods.
Wow.
So we've kind of kept that into Michigan.
Right. And don't forget printing.
Yes. I am my own lab. So I do all my own processing. I do all my own printing. Up until a few months ago, I used to print and build all of our wedding albums.
Wow. Holy cow. So you were like from start to finish, no one else touched this but you.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
We
Yep.
consider ourselves a full-service photography studio.
Yeah.
And
Wow, that is incredible.
the,
Now,
the
Sue, what part of the business do you get to? Are you jumping in there helping with all the editing and all that stuff?
I am the official admin.
Everybody's got to have one, right, Tino?
Listen, I'm married. I don't know if that just automatically qualifies the wife as the official admin, but
Yeah. So when we shoot a wedding, we'll shoot between 2,000 and 3,000 photos. So the first thing that we do, or I do, is to go through and sort through them. Like, okay, they have their eyes closed. Oh, this one's really similar to that. Oh, look, the smile's a little better in that one. Let's pick this one. And so I'll go through and do all that sorting, and then Dave does the actual processing. So
wow.
that's part of our plan for that.
And that keeps the look of the finished look of the photo the same.
Yeah.
I'm always doing the finished photo. We are a full-service photography studio. I mean, my feeling has always been, you're not going to go home with a thumb drive and here's your wedding photos or here's your senior photos. We're going to get you prints, and our packages include prints. And
if you have a thumb drive, come see us.
yes, the other leg of the business that has just started to grow is the bride that did get a thumb drive. We are printing their wedding photos, and we are designing and building their wedding albums.
Wow.
So look out, Walmart.
Well, let me ask you this. When you do that, do you guys also touch them up in case there's some things that need to be?
Yes, absolutely.
You can edit this part out, Tino. If I just recently did photos for the mother of the bride.
Okay.
Local photographer did the wedding. There was one family photo in the church, and mom had hair that came down across her eye and over part of her mouth and down her chin.
Oh,
We're not talking a strand of hair. We're talking a lot.
Yeah,
of hair.
like her hair fell. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. I was able to edit and clean up that photo for her, and she was like thoroughly amazed at the finished product.
Wow. Well, you know what? I don't want to edit that out. I want people to know that. That's the kind of stuff that people need to know. And again, you're not naming the photographer. You're not naming the people. All we're saying is, like, here's a situation where sometimes people get photos, and this has happened to us. I wish I'd have known you sooner. You know, we do family photos all the time. And, you know, we had a situation like that, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years ago where, you know, I mean, one of my kids, you know, had a half blink going on, you know what I mean? And it was like, man, this guy gave us his photo. Like, come on, this is the best one you could have picked, you know? So no, that's great information to know. That's great information to know. Some of the services that you guys do aside from that.
Well, I'm going to reverse that order a little bit on you, Tino.
Absolutely.
We have some great specialty products that we offer. I have the ability to print a photo on slate. So
They're really cool.
they are
Wow.
They are way beyond cool. And then around the edges of that slate, they're rough cut. So you have that rough stone look, and then the photo is printed on the smooth part of it. I've been doing glass photos for probably 6 or 7 years.
Wow.
So you can print the photo on glass and light it if you want from the back. I've done a couple of those from cell phone photos. I've cleaned up somebody's cell phone photo and printed it on glass for them.
That's incredible.
Also metal prints. I can print on metal. I've been doing that for what? Probably 10 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
And those are really cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, if I'm somebody that, like in my family, it's very common to have what's called like memory altars. And so, and like you go into my aunt's house, for instance, she has like candles up and she has pictures of my grandparents who have passed away. She has pictures of my uncles that have passed away. Man, that would be just an incredible thing. The glass that the candle light could come through. I mean, that's incredible. Oh my word. All right, what else you got?
You just gave me another idea, Tino. Canvas printing. I still do in-house. I print my canvas prints. We stretch them and frame them.
Wow.
And then we also now have the floating frames for the canvas. So
you can dress that up a little bit. It's like a thin wood like frame it goes in. Those are really nice.
yeah, those are really cool.
And then we can print on wood.
Yep, I got wood prints that I can do, which depending on the photo, but you can kind of see the wood grain come through the photo. It is really a unique process.
Wow, that is super cool, man. So I mean, when you talk about being a full service photography studio, I mean, you cover all the bases. You do it all, from not only taking the pictures, having the frames custom made, editing the photos, printing the photos, creating the books, all these other different print options. And then, oh, by the way, if you want to have fun, get one of our mirror booths and we can do, so do you, so when are you adding the bounce houses with the cameras inside? When is that coming?
That'll be next summer.
That'll be next summer in 2021. We'll get, and we even got one of those big zip slides, you can like go.
That's coming next. No, you know what though? That's awesome. So any other services you want to throw out there that you guys add, that you do?
Well, I think the one thing that we didn't mention is our standard photos that we print are on paper that's archival quality with archival quality inks.
Oh,
so
wow.
Those papers will last and they will not fade. So the colors won't shift. You've seen photos, they're out on display for 4 or 5 years and all of a sudden those reds don't really look red anymore.
Yeah.
Our printers do that.
Yeah,
and yes, they cost a little bit more than what they would at Walmart or your local drugstore.
Yeah.
But those photos are going to last.
They're guaranteed. The colors are guaranteed for 100 years against fading. The black and white for 200 years.
Wow, that is incredible.
That is directly from the manufacturer of my equipment.
Right. Wow. Now, do you guys also do, sometimes you have like, I have pictures of my great-grandparents, and there's very few, especially in my family, very few photos that were able to be taken. But, those old black and whites that are all like cracked. And now, do you guys do any photo restoration like that?
Sure we do.
Sure do. I just finished 2 this week for somebody.
Wow. Okay.
Those are a challenge, depending on how bad the photo is. These photos kind of had a sepia look to them.
Okay.
And I had asked the client, I said, do you want this to look like a real black and white, or do you want to retain the sepia look? And she wanted to retain that sepia look, so I was able to do that.
Wow. That's incredible.
Enhance faces depending on the quality of the photo, but that all can be done with a retouch or a restoration even.
Right. Wow, that's incredible, man. All right, well, guys, anything else? Any other services that we didn't cover?
I think we've hit it all now.
I think we've hit it all.
My word. You know what, though? But here's the cool thing. Again, I know me personally, I didn't know any of that about your business. I have to be honest. When I think of a photographer, and even in the weddings that we cater, most of the time, we think of a photographer coming in, taking, 1,000 photos. They take pictures of us plating the food, and then, they disappear at some point in time. And I guess I never realized all the stuff that goes into it. I have to be honest. I have never met a photography studio that does everything that you do. Most of my photography friends, and they're going to get mad at me for saying this, but most of them use some third party to, either print the photos, or they send the photos off once you pick them, and somebody else is putting them in a book or putting that book together. I don't think I know of any other photographer that does everything that you do.
I think we're the only ones.
That's probably true.
I mean, honestly, and I deal with a lot of photographers. I have to be honest. I really can't say off the top of my head that, yep, this other photographer is doing all of these things, all these services. So now who gets to meet with the customer? Because I'm thinking back to when I got married, when we were doing our photo, albums, they bring out the different sheets, and we just looked at little squares, and we got to pick. This was a long time ago, but we got to pick so many. So who meets with the customer to do all that?
You're showing your age, Tino.
I know. I show it every day. Trust me.
We both do.
Okay.
It really is a team, and
it's really a team effort. And one of the things that we emphasize with our clients is we are your photographers. I mean, there are photography people out there that hire people third party.
Yeah.
And then you don't even meet the second photographer if they show up until the day of the wedding.
Right.
And having the photo booth, periodically we will go do a photo booth ourselves just for a change of pace. And I've really watched the photographers that are there.
We've seen some interesting teams.
I have seen some real interesting stuff. The one I really like to tell clients is the second photographer at this wedding wore a baseball cap, and then every time he went to take a photo, the pop-up flash came up on the camera and hit the top of the bill of his hat. It's like,
What?
Did that photo really turn out?
Yeah.
Is the lighting right on that photo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've seen it all, and that has really helped us fine-tune our business to get a better product out there.
So as you guys are starting to grow, your business is taking off. Coming into this year, I know a lot of people had a lot of plans. I know we did. This is the time of year when, I'll be honest, Cinco de Mayo kicks off our year. As a matter of fact, I think we were going to do a photo booth with you guys at the restaurant
I think
for
so.
Cinco de Mayo. And then, COVID-19 hits. So talk to us a little bit about how you switch gears and still run and operate your business, but now from maybe a virtual world. Or have you guys done that?
Well, one of the big changes that we made and was meeting with clients. How are we going to meet with clients and still honor the shutdown requirements? So we did it virtually. We used to do Skype. In fact, for our destination clients, we would use Skype to meet with them.
Wow.
So we just kind of took that one step further and said, okay, we're going to still do some promotion, and then meet with that client virtually.
Okay. And so you do destination weddings? So do you need an assistant when those happen?
I got one. If I don't take her, I've been threatened with a divorce.
So how many destination weddings have you guys done?
Well, we've done one so far.
Okay.
Got a couple in the works. Well,
okay.
They were in the works prior to this whole pandemic thing, and I don't know where those are going to go yet. But
well, right now everyone's still waiting for the governor to open up, and how are we going to move forward? I mean, restaurants are not even open, let alone banquet facilities and all of that. So until the brides can know, what are we going to be able to do? It's hard for anyone to commit. I mean, every event that we've had basically for the summer has been postponed.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a little crazy.
Yeah.
And we
Now,
still,
what was that like? Talk to us a little bit about, so March 15th, 15th, I think, when we all had to, shelter in place. We got the mandate, 3 p.m. Restaurants had to shut down. What were your thoughts then, and how has it changed now? Coming into where we're at now.
Well, about 85-90% of my business comes from bridal shows. So we lost the bridal shows, and I think we have one more that's been rescheduled to August, which will probably not happen also.
yeah, it's hard to know because some of our clients are in Ohio. So again, you now have different rules, and they have some reception halls that have opened, but until everyone knows, like, okay, this was my date that I had picked, like, pretty much everyone is at least postponed that date.
Right.
Even the October pushed back into 2021, and it's
wow.
It's making my head spin. Trying to keep everybody straight.
Yeah, our schedule has been a revolving door. We had every Friday and every Saturday booked in October. Those people all bailed with the fear of a second round of the COVID-19 into 21. Some of our summer and spring weddings moved into October. So, I mean, it's like a revolving door.
Yeah.
And some of those people that scheduled from spring and summer, or rescheduled from spring and summer into October, have now moved into 21.
Well, and I think what people don't realize, I mean, so we hear a lot of talk about restaurants and bars. We hear a lot of talk about manufacturing. We hear a lot of talk about, the loss of income from some of these other industries. But gosh, I mean, like you guys, I mean, there isn't any residual income. Once the job is done and you've been paid, that's it. You're going on to the next job.
Right.
Correct.
So, how have you had to reevaluate your business plan, your business model? Like, what is that looking like right now? I mean, for 2020.
Scary as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is really scary. I've got enough banked with the business to probably get us through a couple more months, but after that, it's going to be scary. What am I going to do? I don't want to fall on the wayside like a lot of other small businesses are.
Right.
I have heard that there's a few restaurants in the Toledo area that are not going to reopen after this because they aren't going to be able to make it.
Yeah, I've spoken to a couple of them myself. Some of my good friends that just, this really, a lot of us didn't qualify for any funds from the government. I'm actually, in a sense, I'm kind of glad because they're changing the rules on that too now. But we didn't qualify for it, and so I mean, we're like you, man. I mean, we're going through our cash reserves and trying to pay our rent and keep the lights on and pay our employees that are still working, that sort of thing. So let me ask you this now: as we get closer, well, there is a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, right? I mean, so far now. We were supposed to be ready to go May 28th. Yesterday, the governor said we're going to extend it to June 12th. Talk to us a little bit about, what your reaction was when you saw that and how that made you feel as far as the business is concerned, and personally, how that made you feel personally.
I was very frustrated because it's like, okay, I understand it. Like, I work at the hospital. I know, like, we've had the patients and all of that, but at some point you just have to say, everybody take your precautions and let's try to reopen. And like, I don't know, June 12th, that's all still 3 weeks away.
Right. And Dave, what were your thoughts?
I don't think you want me to repeat those for a public.
Well, how about you give us the PG version?
It was like, I'm not ready for another 2 weeks of this.
Yeah.
We need to get our senior portrait program going again, and I lost a lot of that business because of this. And now that just got pushed out another 2 weeks.
Wow. And that's the other thing. I didn't even think about that. All the senior photos, the prom photos, the, baby shower things. I mean, all the different events that you guys are a part. I literally, I didn't even think about that till just now.
Right.
And then the mirror bookings for senior high school parties.
Yeah.
Right.
The photo booth bookings for that. I mean, we've lost all of that now. And then, when can I go back and start picking that business up? I can't plan.
Right. Well,
we do have a place for the photo booth, the touch free without no props.
So
you can start it with just waving your hands, and we have a plan.
We do have a plan in the works for the photo booth. The developer has worked out some changes in the software. You can wave your hands, and the mirror starts its process.
Wow. Well, I was going to say, is there any way you can even, and I don't know the industry, but is there any way you can even add, you go to, Snapchat, and you can put the different filters in so that, you don't really have to wear a prop, but it can, mirror the prop for you?
There is. It's called virtual props.
The virtual props.
Yeah.
And we have little magic pens that we can use that we'll be able to wipe down between each person that uses it, and we'll be good.
Wow, that's awesome.
So they'll be able to go in and pick their virtual prop and put it on, and away they go.
Wow, that's incredible. So let me, I guess, a couple last questions. So as you guys are starting to really, kind of revamp the business model, you mentioned earlier that you've done some stuff on Skype. So are you using Zoom more than what you're using Skype now? And are you doing virtual tours of the studio then?
I've not done any virtual tours of the studio.
Okay.
That might take a little more. Right now, we've got the computer set up with the microphone and the video camera and all that.
Well, listen, I have a 12-year-old son that can show you how to use your phone and walk around with it. He's a whiz, and he helps me with all this stuff all the time.
Send him down the block a little bit.
Right. That's awesome. Well, guys, listen, I really, we've actually, believe it or not, we've been talking for over 30 minutes. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Let me ask you this, couple last things. One piece of advice that you could give to, let's say, somebody that maybe is thinking about opening a business, doesn't have to be your business or your type of industry, but somebody that's thinking about opening up a business. And I know during COVID, some of the business owners have been like, don't do it. But if you could, just one piece of advice that you would give to somebody that says, you know what, I'm in your position, I'm getting ready to retire, and I'm thinking about starting or jumping into a business. What would you say to that person?
If they're working on trying to get into a business like the Brown Bag Boutique, for instance, they worked out of their home the same as we did when they started. If you feel that in your home you're making a good living at it, you're going to be able to pay the bills, jump on it. Go for it. Jump in with both feet and cautiously, don't sign out the gate a multi-year lease in case things don't work the way you planned. But if you're starting to see that cash flow working out of your living room, and you got that dream, go for it.
Yeah.
But
Sue, what do you think?
Well, I think that downtown Monroe is a great place to have a business. I think that it's going to continue to grow. Of course, it's going to take businesses to be here for people to be here. And of course, with a restaurant. there's people down here all the time on
Yes.
Friday, Saturday evenings when you can dine in. The parking's at a premium, and like things happening. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
it's a great place to be.
Well, I'm excited too to see the new streetscape projects come alive. You know,
Yeah.
I hope that whole thing works out. So
Yeah. Okay, one last question. So what is one ask then? I do this with everybody. One thing that you could ask from the community, and it doesn't have to necessarily be for your business, can just be in general, some general thoughts. What's one ask that you'd like to ask from the community that would help either the businesses, your business personally, or just the community as a whole?
support local, support downtown.
I would agree. It has to be support local.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to leave you with this thought. That's something that's been very, very, very big and really place in our heart. When people think about supporting local, I think sometimes they don't realize that, it's more than just the business. You're supporting, like in your case, you're supporting two people that have gone all in, are giving back to the community, have really ingrained themselves in the community. So it's more than just, putting money in someone's pocket. It's putting money, it's spreading that money throughout the entire community, because you're spending your dollars local and you're making sure that money stays here in Monroe County. You know
Exactly.
what I mean?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, I want to thank you so much for taking the time of your Saturday morning. Again, for those of you that don't know, we had some technical difficulties. We got them fixed. We were able to sit down and do this. I appreciate your time, and we're looking forward to helping boost your business here in the downtown community.
Well, thanks, Tino.
Thank you.
I really appreciate this opportunity, and be glad to do it anytime for you.
Absolutely, man. Well, thank you, guys. You guys have a great afternoon.
Thanks,
All right,
Tino.
thanks,
Take
Tino.
care. Have a good
All
one.
right. We'll see ya.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.